This video is brought to you by Champion Bet, and now we are giving you some free money. Yes, free money. I'm talking about free 3,000 Ugandan shillings in free bets. Register today with Champion Bet by visiting our website at Champion Bet. Use the promo code Cossy3000, and just like that, you have 3,000 Ugandan shillings to bet and win. Follow us on all our social media handles, Twitter, Facebook for more information. See you there. Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Arsenal have a double injury boost as Martin Odegaard and Kai Havertz look to return right before the busy schedule in December. Arsenal have about 12 games in December, and having Martin Odegaard and Kai Havertz return ahead of schedule would be very, very good. We'll be talking about those two. We'll be talking about Gabriel Jesus as well. He's not played a lot of minutes in the last few months for Arsenal, and it kind of feels like he's being phased out of the picture with the arrival of Victor Gyökeres. We'll be talking about Gabriel Jesus as January approaches. What do we do? And how important is this still to this team? Obviously, the likes of Alexander Zinchenko that he came in with have already left the club for Nottingham Forest. We'll talk about Antoine Semenyo. Now, the rumors never stop. Arsenal have just spent 300 million on a project. And somehow, the rumors are still saying that Arsenal would love to add a few more players to that squad, and Antoine Semenyo is one of them. Now, I'm one person who is a very big fan of Antoine Semenyo. I'm one person again that still thinks that this Arsenal attack can be improved even further, especially with Leandro Trossard in the future maybe leaving, especially with players like maybe Gabriel Martinelli needing support. Maybe a player like Antoine Semenyo, maybe that left-hand side can be upgraded and is still upgradable. So let me know in the comment box below. With Eze, Martinelli and Trossard there, maybe in the summer. I mean, it's a difficult deal for Semenyo to do in January. It's a difficult switch. He's just signed a new deal at Bournemouth. But in the summer, is Antoine Semenyo or upgrading on the left-hand side something you would look at? Let me know in the comment box below. Well, let's get into it. Now, let's start off with the injury news, because that is what is more important right in this part of the campaign. And Odegaard, one of the most important players, Arsenal captain, but also one of the players that has got the ability to, punch the ball through the lines and break through the lines and help us open defenses, could be back before the start of December. Now, if you think about Arsenal and you think about November and December, there are two things that really happen there. One, you're going to lose key players during that period of time. I think last season we lost Saka, and we also lost another important player. I don't remember who really it was. And a couple of players were also off form. And then come December, your team has been hit by injuries, and the rest of the players have been overworked, and some of them are even playing with knocks, some of them are carrying knocks, some of them are playing with injuries as well. So this season, as Arsenal want to win the league, there are two things we've got to make sure we've got to make sure of. One, we've got a fit squad for November and December, and two, we've got to make sure that psychologically we go through that period with the right mentality. Like, November is called Black November and Black December for Arsenal for a reason. You have some difficult games in there. I was looking at November. I think there is Chelsea in there. There is Tottenham as well. So it's not an easy month. But we've got to go through it if we want to go and win the league. And in light of that, Arsenal are going to need some of our best players, and we're also going to need a very broad squad. Like I said, you have 9 Premier League games in December. I don't know who makes these fixtures. I don't know who makes these schedules. They need to be arrested. We have about 9 games just in the Premier League in December. And mind you, if Arsenal are still in the FA Cup by the time, we shall have an FA Cup game in there. That makes it 10, and maybe 1 Champions League game. So that makes it about 12 games or 11 games Arsenal have in December. What does that mean? You don't have Noni Madueke. I think Noni Madueke returns next year, in my humble opinion. Picked up an injury. It's a little bit complicated. So the good news is that Martin Odegaard could be back before December, as well as Kai Havertz. Now, when it comes to Kai Havertz, he's returning, or he would be returning ahead of schedule. He's one of the players that were expected to be out until January, but according to the medical team and according to many sources, he's been determined to return early and he's been working very, very hard. For me, I want to say this. Having Victor Gyökeres and Kai Havertz both fit is gold. It would be absolute gold. We know how good Kai Havertz is in terms of pressing, in terms of leading the press, in terms of just, playing with Martin Odegaard. He's so good. So Havertz, Odegaard, and Saka, and them forming that triangle is something very, very beautiful, especially at a time when we are no longer playing with Ben White and Julian Timber does a lot of underlappings instead of overlaps. So Kai Havertz would be drifting into those spaces and allowing Saka to do his thing. Then Martin Odegaard, we all know the importance of this of the guy. Mikel was talking about him the other time and he was saying he's a guy that leads with example. Like, the whole team draws a lot of motivation from him. They draw a lot of energy from him just because he does things that are exemplary. But for me, it is the squad depth and it is the quality. Because when you look at December, that is when all the games that we haven't played will be coming up. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's going to happen in the coming months, right? November and December. You have Chelsea in there. You have Tottenham in there. You have Brighton in there. You have Bournemouth in there. Now, those are the games that, of course, you've got to be prepared for. Very, very, very tough fixtures, right? And of course, you've got the easy ones, the Wolverhampton Wanderers. Those ones, you can crush them, you can go through them. But at that point in time, you're having so many games, right? Anyone can beat you because you have burnout, you have tired legs, and the pressure will be a lot. Liverpool will be chasing, Manchester City will be chasing as well. So for Mikel Arteta, this is a good problem to have. He's going to have two of his best players returning. And listen, the question is, does he play with Kai Havertz and Gyökeres on the same pitch? Or does he play with Gyökeres starting and then Havertz on the bench? Obviously, for me, Gabriel Jesus has done some good work. He hasn't really scored. He hasn't really assisted so much for a player of his caliber. But I think when I think about Arsenal's effect and impact on the final third this season as compared to last season, the number of players we have in the final third, the amount of times we commit bodies into the final third, I just kind of feel like it's better. It's really much better, and it's courtesy of players like Gabriel Jesus, Victor Gyökeres, and the players that are willing to stay in the final third. All those players that we have that are willing to attack the game and not just sit back and defend. Well, like I said, we'll talk about we'll talk about Gabriel Jesus as well. And with Gabriel Jesus, he's looking to return in December as well. Now, the question for me with Gabriel Jesus is, do we sell him in January? Do we move him on, right? I know this squad needs as many players as possible. And with Noni Madueke now injured, maybe if Gabriel Jesus comes back quicker, maybe it helps. Maybe he can rotate with Saka. But there is Ethan Nwaneri there and there is Max Stoneman. For me, if Madueke returns and Gabriel Jesus returns to full fitness as well, January will be one of the best times to actually move him on. I kind of feel like his time at Arsenal is over. He's done what he's done. He has raised the level. He raised the level of this Arsenal team, him together with Alexander Zinchenko. But Mikel Arteta understood one thing. Because you raised the level, it doesn't mean that you're going to be part of the final project. And I think Zinchenko isn't part of the final project. And Gabriel Jesus might not enjoy the fruits, just like Thomas Partey. So let's talk about Antoine Semenyo. Bit of transfer gossip really. There is nothing really there. But let's talk about him. Because the debate on Antoine Semenyo kind of highlights the cracks that happened in the summer. Now, in the summer, Arsenal wanted to sign a left winger. But like David Ornstein said, it was always going to depend on Trossard or Martinelli leaving, if not both of them. And there was interest. Saudi Arabia were interested in Leo Trossard, and I think Turkish clubs as well, clubs in Italy too, were interested in Leo Trossard. And we were told Bayern and Barca and a couple of other clubs were also eyeing Gabriel Martinelli, who at the time Arsenal wanted to sell for about 50 to 70 million if anyone could have afforded. So the left-wing problem is still there. Trossard is getting older, and Gabriel Martinelli will need competition and he will need cover. If he's gonna be the main man, he will need cover. If it's gonna be the same situation like he is with Trossard, then he's gonna need very, very good competition. Enter Anton Semenyo into the conversation. Now, for me, does Anton Semenyo qualify? He does. The guy is a freak. This season, Anton Semenyo has involved himself in 10 goals already. And we have barely played 10 games. 10 goal involvements in about 8 or 9 games for Bournemouth. That is incredible. That is really incredible. And with Anton Semenyo, again, and you can really see why Bournemouth fought so much to keep him. It is the consistency of this guy. I don't know whether he's just one of those guys that are very good under a certain particular manager, like he's good under Andoni Iraola. But if it's not about that, the consistency is kind of, it freaks me out. It really, really freaks me out. It's now the 3rd season and is performing at that level. And he was asked recently, are you playing your best football in your life? And it's like, maybe I am, man. Maybe I am. So would Arsenal really benefit from getting Anton Semenyo? No question. We need players that can come in, add to the goals. He's a creator. The way he attacks spaces, the way he just takes on players and beats them. He's got that eye for goal. He's hungry to score a couple of goals every single campaign. I think it would be a very good replacement for Leandro Trossard at the end of this campaign. I'm not saying Trossard should go, no. But if Arsenal ever wanted to move him on, a very good example of a replacement, in my opinion, he would not cost you upwards of 60 million. For me, Anton Semenyo would do a very, very good job. But of course, in the comment box below, let me know what you think about Arsenal buying Anton Semenyo and how much would you pay, and do you think it would work for our system? And I'll speak to you right in the next one.